What's up, members of the Barrio? It's John coming to you from New York, and I am sitting in my apartment right now, about to make a video that I should have filmed a long time ago. Today, I'm going to be answering some frequently asked questions that I get about traveling to New York City, and I've received these through direct message, tweets, comments on YouTube. Let's get started. Where is the best area to stay if you've got 1 week for a visit? Shout out to Greg and Hillary from Kinetic Cannons for that question. They have an awesome channel about Mexico. And I'm gonna answer that different depending on if you've been to New York City before or not. While I'm not a fan of the hustle and bustle of Midtown, for a first timer only, I think it's super central and you can walk to so many points in the city, east, west, north, south, which will give you a break from getting confused by the subway. Not to mention the majority of hotels are in Midtown anyway, so the odds are you'll be staying somewhere in that region. Although if it's me and I'm visiting New York more than once, I would prefer downtown Manhattan, and there's hotels in the financial district, in Soho. If you want to stay outside of Manhattan, you could look at downtown Brooklyn, Long Island City, Queens, Astoria, even Jersey City if you're near the PATH train. All excellent options, not too far away from Manhattan. What is the best airport to fly into? A long time ago, I actually dedicated a whole video to discussing which airport would suit which person the best, depending on where you were staying. But I'm gonna backtrack away from that and just say, fly to the cheapest airport that gets you here, be it Newark, LaGuardia, or JFK. If you're flying in internationally and you want to be a little bit closer to Manhattan, Newark is closer, but JFK will suit you just fine. So once again, find that cheapest flight. How much money should I budget per day for my trip? This is a really hard question to answer because you can have so many different experiences coming to New York City. Now, not counting airfare and hotel, I would say on the low end, if you're trying to live cheaply, I think $50 a day per person could get you by just fine, although I have survived on just $10 for a day. That was actually my most popular video ever, but you won't eat very healthy, which you may or may not care about. A more realistic number if you want to eat out a lot, if you want to take a lot of taxis and Ubers and pay for a lot of admissions to different things, $100 to $150 a day. And if you want to tack on drinking at night to that, you're on your own. You're going to be spending a lot of money. Where can I get the best pizza, pastrami, bagel in New York? Okay, I'm not gonna start the great pizza debate because this is very personal for each individual person, but my favorite slice in New York is at Bleecker Street Pizza, the Nana Marie. I did a whole vlog dedicated to it once. Another local favorite of mine is the pie from Arturo's. They also have some really entertaining musicians. The pizza that I most want to try that I haven't yet is Giuliana's in Brooklyn. I have heard such good things, and I'm eventually going to make a video about it. As for New York bagels, I did a New York bagel challenge, and so far, my favorite is at Bagel Hole in Park Slope. I encourage you to list any challengers to this in the comments for me to investigate. As for pastrami, we did a sandwich challenge, and Katz's was not the winner. I prefer the pastrami and corned beef from Sarge's. As an added bonus, the place wasn't full of tourists, more local, and to me, it's a cooler experience. Where can I get the best cheap food? Where can I get the best local food? I can't answer that question in one video. I can't even answer that question properly in 10 videos. But to get you started on the right foot, I would say the first step, leave Manhattan. Check out my 7 unique neighborhoods video, but Brighton Beach for Russian and Ukrainian, Jackson Heights, Queens for Mexican, Colombian, Indian, Arthur Avenue in the Bronx for Italian. And for cheap food, you can see my Cheap Eats playlist, but off the top of my head, the $5 lunch at Aquario Cafe in Midtown's great, or any of the higher rated dumpling places in Manhattan's Chinatown. Would you do a Times Square tour? Shout out to Webby the Spider Boy for asking that question on YouTube, and I'm going to stick by a statement that I have made multiple times. You should visit Times Square at least once when you come to New York, knock it out on your first trip, and if you're a night owl, go right before midnight to see the Midnight Moment, which is a killer art exhibit that most people have no idea even goes on. Just steer clear of some of the scammers there, like the seedy guys and the furries. How do you mix in a good amount of iconic New York versus off the beaten path? And that was asked by one of my viewers. An excellent question, and that's actually something that I'm always trying to balance as a creator on this channel, showing you a little bit of the popular versus a little bit of the hidden stuff. I think for a first timer to New York, you've got to visit some of those landmarks: Central Park, Times Square, Bryant Park, the big museums, and of course, eating some pizza. After that, don't be afraid to take your guests outside of Manhattan. Pick any of those unique neighborhoods that I was talking about that has really good ethnic food, because that's one thing I found is lacking in many world cities, the ability to find good food from other countries, and that's one of the biggest strengths of New York City, in my opinion. What are the top neighborhoods to visit? This is like asking who's my favorite kid, and I don't even have any kids that I know of. I'm very biased to my neighborhood, Greenwich Village, so if I had to pick just one, it would be that, because it combines nightlife with cool restaurants, but it's not the cheapest. Jackson Heights, Queens is still my favorite neighborhood to take visitors because there's just such a diverse amount of food there, but you can't go wrong anywhere. It honestly just depends on your preferences. Mick Angel here asked, what are the best movie locations in New York? This is honestly not something that I'm super into, but as a resident, I am always walking by TV shoots, commercials, movies being filmed on the streets. There have been thousands of movies filmed in New York City. My favorite ever New York City movie is actually The Warriors, and a lot of that was shot in Coney Island, but you have Katz's Deli for Where Harry Met Sally, and almost all of the landmarks were used in something. I'm including a link down below in the description to one of my favorite blogs that covered the top 10 movie locations in New York. The final question, where do I go out at night? There are so many bars and clubs and lounges and live music places in New York City. We could do tons of videos on this topic alone, but there are two unique things I want my 21-year-old and over viewers to consider when they come to New York. One is the rooftop bar, and there's no shortage of these. This is an amazing way to appreciate the big buildings in the city. I still love the happy hour at 235th from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. on weekdays. It's a great way to experience a normally expensive bar. The second unique element are speakeasy or hidden bars that are themed Prohibition style, those drinking dens in the back somewhere. And my favorite experience so far was at the ice cream shop named UES, which literally won't let you into the hidden bar unless you know what to say. And you can watch my video on speakeasies to find out what the magical password is. Leave me a comment down below with any other New York City questions that I missed. Make sure to subscribe if you found value from this video. We've got a lot more New York City content and other really cool stuff coming up real soon. Guys, thank you so much for watching as always. Until next time.